Men of Reddit, what would be your response to a guy who suddenly starts flirting with your girl? Had a guy buy our margaritas when my girlfriend ordered them for us at the counter. I thanked him from across the restaurant. Free margaritas taste better. My friend ordered a girl's drink at the bar once. Right after the bartender handed it to her, her boyfriend walks over. So what does my friend do? He orders a drink for the boyfriend too. 5 minutes later, I look over and all three of them are sitting next to each other, best freaking friends. I took some notes from that guy. He didn't buy her a drink expecting something from her. He just wanted to make her happy. And when he found out that she had a boyfriend, he wanted to make him happy too. And people like him because of that. I bought a birthday party, girl celebrating her 30th, and I got a nasty look from them. One of them came up to me and threw the drink in my face, saying, "We're not gonna sleep with you over a drink." Bouncer kicked them out after the bartender clarified that I didn't say a word and was being nice. Yes, Bouncer assumed I was harassing them at first. The good news is I got free drinks for the rest of the night. Am I the only one who thinks that I have a boyfriend or assuming all men want you is very childish? My wife had a guy offer to buy her drinks, and when he said that she was married, he said something to the effect of, "Then let me buy the lucky man his drink instead." Which I thought was a great way to handle it. Gets you a bar friend most of the time since the guy gets a free drink, and if he's a jealous or protective type, he will respond better because someone didn't end up buying his girl a drink. Went out with another couple, walking through the area filled with bars. We hear some guys catcalling our lady friend. Something along the lines of, "Yo, you're so hot, I would give it to you." And her boyfriend replies back, "And nothing for me?" This is the way I wish I would handle this situation, but my brain would probably be like, "What did he say? I can't hear you because it's so loud in here." I looked at the dude and said, "Sorry dude, you're not my sister's type." And then I immediately kissed my wife. We were both blonde, so people think we were related all the time. Gosh, I have to have my husband do this sometime. We used to work together and people would come in all the time asking if we were brother and sister. I'd step in and say something, not because I feel like I need to or because my wife can't handle herself, but because I know her and she likes the feeling of being looked after. I know this because she told me. That's very sweet. Just because you stand strong doesn't mean that you should always have to. It's good to know that you have backup whether it's your friends or your husband. I once let my girlfriend handle a situation like that on her own. And the thing I learned in the process is that it takes a woman a lot more work to deter an aggressive guy. As soon as I stepped in, Handsy McNoBoundaries apologized to me. Not the stranger whose butt he touched and complimented. She could absolutely handle the situation on her own, and my first impulse was not to treat her like a possession some other guy was touching. But on some levels, it does feel like I'm condoning the behavior. This is very true. I was out with my ex one night walking my dogs. My ex got sidetracked and stopped to take some photos of a lizard basking on the side of the road. Not wanting my dogs to stress or spook the lizard, I told him that I was going to keep walking ahead. He said that he would catch up with me and he was about a half a block behind me. I went around the corner and two men saw and started aggressively catcalling me, making comments on my skin, body, and following me. I told them to leave me alone and I wasn't interested. They didn't care and kept at it. They completely ignored my discomfort and were starting to actually frighten me. My ex came around the corner, saw the two guys were way too close to my personal space, and asked what was going on. They immediately apologized to him and backed off. Not the woman that they were actually harassing and scaring just seconds ago. They apologized to him. It's genuinely heartbreaking how much faster and easier it can be for a man to get another man to leave a woman alone, than for the same woman to get that man to leave her alone. It's worrying to me how common that can be. It is pretty sad that women do have to deal with this type of stuff on a daily basis. Nothing. She is beautiful and I get it. When she shoots them down and they keep trying is when I step in because it's harassment at that point, and that's a problem. Exactly, I had a customer invite my wife on a helicopter ride the other day, totally trying to chat her up. When he asked what she did there, she pointed at me and said, "I'm just hanging out, I'm married to him." After that, you could see him deflate like a balloon. Nothing, my wife just says, "Shh, shh, watch this." Ask him if he's down for a three-way and make him uncomfortable. That seems dangerous if you're not actually down for a three-way. Lots of dudes out there would be perfectly happy to make a wobbly H with you and your lady. Well, that's when you tell him that he goes in the middle. I have to agree with that second comment. It is definitely a dangerous game of chicken. Sharing a lady with another man isn't my cup of tea, but I know plenty of dudes that would have absolutely no problem with it. It's like free food to them. My wife is gorgeous in my eyes, but she is incredibly hard on herself. After kids, antidepressants, and being 20 years older than when we first started dating, she doesn't always see that she's the most beautiful person to me. So when someone else starts talking to her and wants to get in her pants, I just tell her I told you so. I pinch his butt and say we're down, but he bottoms, no exceptions. She's a grown-up, she can respond to his flirting herself. I don't need to jump in and do the whole back off buddy thing. My girlfriend, who is 40, is often pretty useless in handling those situations, giving out unintentional yes signals, further aggravating the situation. She's openly and immediately accepting of compliments in general, but also somewhat blind to more subtle flirtation. So someone flirting with her can take her positive response to a compliment as a green light. It's like she can't distinguish between the friendly and flirtatious "you look hot," and acts if they're all friendly compliments. If someone touches her, she can get uncomfortable and act like it's not happening, possibly post-trauma or fight or flight freeze response, which can come off as being okay with that kind of contact. Someone aggressively tries to kiss her, she'll tend to turn her face away and laugh or giggle, but that doesn't give a clear no response, so she can come off as just being coy. She's aware that she often has no sense that a situation has hookup intent, or is headed in that direction if encouraged. And also talked a good bit about this with people. Usually it'll be when something happens out of nowhere. She'll talk to people about it over a week or two, trying to figure out what she missed. She'll digest their opinions and advice on what to look for and how to handle such situations in the future. But it just becomes a story that will sometimes pop up in conversation. I don't think she's improved in spotting flirtation or nipping it in the bud with a clear no sign. And her way of handling those situations for the past decade or so has been to ask people around her, including me, to watch out for her when she's in an environment where flirtation is likely. To answer the OP's question, my job is to give a clear no sign or just remove her from the situation. I'm not sure how her friends handle it because I'm not always around, but I do know of one situation where they did nothing, but I imagine it's because they thought, she's an adult, she can make her own decisions. Much like what you said, and one would generally assume until they know better. So there are people who need someone to keep an eye out for them and intervene before things get aggressive, as they have on more than one occasion for my GF. This was a great follow-up comment. I sometimes get annoyed with the "she's a big girl" comments because it assumes that women can easily handle or get out of any situation that is presented in front of them. If he's not making her uncomfortable, I don't care. She's coming home with me, our dog is at home, and she really likes him. Flirt with her too. It's a competition now. I was at a house party and my girlfriend at the time was getting hit on by a couple of guys. I walked up to her like I didn't know her and told her how good looking she was and that I wanted to kiss her. I kissed her and she wrapped her arms around me. When we stopped, I told her that I would talk to her later and just walked away. As I did, the guys hitting on her just looked at me in awe. I tell him good luck and watch her roast him. My GF is a bartender, so she's witty AF. I love it when people try hitting on her and she just shoots them down hard. Pure comedic gold. I'm glad I never did that. That cruel insult when someone isn't being offensive, but is too inexperienced to have game, yet is just trying to get someone to like them, will be remembered for a lifetime. I agree with that last comment. Men who don't have game will definitely remember every rejection they get. If a guy is being a complete douche though, feel free to knock him down a peg. If I didn't trust her, she wouldn't be my girl. Some guy giving her a confidence boost is fine with me. According to my girl, I wouldn't even be aware of flirting because I can't take a hint even if it's right in front of my face. I'd probably join the chat, then casually ask my wife what time we told the kids we'd be home. This happened to me not too long ago. My wife is nice and likes to chat people up when she's drinking. Naturally, a lot of guys think that means she's into them. We were at a concert, and I guess the guy assumed that since she talked to him, that she and I were just friends. They only spoke once or twice, but she was dancing and drinking and he had just hung around. After the concert, he came up and started in. By then, I had enough of him checking her out, so I pulled the old, "let's get out of here, I'm sure the babysitter is ready to go home," and the guy just vanished like a puff of smoke. We were both wearing our wedding rings. I would enjoy the show, or possibly be busy hitting on his wife. Did I mention that we're swingers? Swingers are always out here needing to make themselves known to the world. If she's taken by another man by simply talking or flirting, is she really my girl in the first place? I might laugh if it was particularly bold or egregious right in front of my face or something, but I never intervene unless she asks me to. She's an adult and she can decide for herself if she wants to entertain a conversation. Also, selfishly, I like to see if I can get a free drink out of it if it's occurring at the bar. My best friend is naturally drop-dead gorgeous. One night we went out and had quite a few drinks at a tap house nearby, and when we got back, I mentioned to her husband that literally every head in the room turned when she walked in, and that the bartender seemed to blush every time he talked to her. It was more for her benefit, because she doesn't realize how beautiful she is. He got pissed, like what the freak? You marry a beautiful woman and you're mad when people notice her? Makes no sense. Shake my head. Dude missed a chance to hype up his wife. What's even worse, she felt guilty for it. He's actually a great husband and father. I honestly don't think he realizes what a jerk he is when he comes up with that stuff. Man, so many guys want to date a 10, but they don't want the attention that comes with it. My wife constantly gets hit on. I don't care if men hit on her. I trust her completely and have since the start. She has never given me a reason not to trust her. When we used to go out to bars together, she would get hit on. Guys would offer to buy her drinks. She would always tell them my drink of choice. After she got the drinks, she would thank them and walk away and hand me the drink. If people don't respect her boundaries, that's when I step in. We never really had any bad experiences with men hitting on her. Normally, once they see her with me, they basically just walk away. It depends on the situation. Most of the time, I think good luck, man. Hope she doesn't embarrass you. I know she's coming home with me at the end of the day. If the guy is obviously creepy or making her uncomfortable, I typically step in and make sure he gets the point. I'm not a small guy, so they usually get the idea. I don't really care for confrontation or violence, but with that said, I won't tolerate someone harassing my wife or making her feel uncomfortable. It gets a little awkward when you're a small guy. I'm not pint-sized, but I'm 5'7" and about 165 to 170. I'm not intimidating to most men. Had two offensive line-looking dudes catcalling my fiance in a bar a few years ago. She just ignored them for the first 2 times. Biggest issue was that they were out with her dad. I had to walk over and explain the situation to the 2 gentlemen and let them know that I wasn't looking for a fight, but I wasn't going to allow it to continue. Luckily, I knew the entire staff at the bar, and the bartender came over to ask if everything was good. I told him, in pretty good Spanish, that I was fine, and if I needed help, I would let him know. I'm super white, but these 2 dudes didn't understand a word of what I said. Definitely helped that the bartender went back to the kitchen for a few minutes afterwards. Yeah, not looking intimidating can be a problem. I'm average size-wise. I was once in a club with my girlfriend, and some guys were harassing her and her friends. Now, I wasn't really in a mood to deal with it, but when one of them tried to touch them, I immediately called them out. They were a bit buff and thought that they would win the fight. Bit of background, I've been doing martial arts since I was 4, and not some recreational stuff, but with actual fighting. I actually met my girlfriend there. I'm usually a pretty mellow guy, but that day wasn't great to begin with. She knew I wasn't in a good mood, and when she noticed, she immediately stood behind me and grabbed my pants and belt from behind. It was pretty effective. If push came to shove, she wouldn't have held me back, but I felt it and that was enough. It was a pretty big commotion, and one of them even tried to push me, but that's when security showed up and threw them out. I think if I would have been bigger, they would have just left earlier, but on the plus side, they were thrown out and couldn't continue harassing other girls. This is one of the main reasons I don't like clubs or being at bars too much. I'm not a drinker myself, so seeing a bunch of dudes being douchey or gross towards women isn't a fun time. If he isn't physically touching her, I would see what her reaction is. If she reciprocates, then I would leave because I just dodged a bullet. If she shoots him down, I make my presence known to prevent any potential negative reaction from the guy towards her. I challenge him to a unicycle cage match. Younger me would be confrontational. Mid-30s me would be curious to see how it goes, and if by some surprise she's into it, then she just revealed something about her and us that I really needed to know anyways. That is a statement to live by. Why would I have to respond to somebody flirting with my girl? I trust my girl. That's why she's my girl. She's an adult and more than capable of handling this sort of situation. Now, if it became too much or he was stalking or abusive or anything over the top, then you have to be dealt with. But if there's just some guy flirting with my woman, great. It validates that I'm with a very attractive, interesting woman that other people find the same. She's a big girl and I trust her. I hope you know what you're getting into, my guy. I'm telling you as a friendly warning. I dated a Marine. I was a Navy corpsman. While she liked knowing I had her back, she also liked standing up and showing guys how tall she really was without heels. Did I mention that she was a Marine? I gotta admit, seeing 3/4 of the men brush off the warning from a short Asian guy, only to find out my warning was valid, their eyes went from her bust to her overtowering them. Oh, by the way, she's 6 foot. I forgot to mention that. I didn't have to worry about her being taken. She had a thing for short Asian men. 3/4 of the men that hit on her were all macho white men. So she got off on showing them her true height. Then she would walk over to me, wrap her arms around me, evidently marking her territory, like a dragon claiming her prince, with a dangerous look in her eye. That got me off. Hey now, it's fun climbing trees. I just keep a close eye on the situation. My wife can be really nervous, but also a bit fiery, and if I see her starting to get uncomfortable or the guy becoming too much, then I'll step in. Other than that, I don't mind. It just proves what I already know. My wife is a beautiful woman. I like to sit back and enjoy the show. My wife is completely oblivious to this stuff, and then later is mortified when I point out that she was totally being flirted with. It's always a good time. I've seen a few guys try it and just feel bad for them. She generally shoves her huge ring in their face and yells at them. Once we were out with some friends and some guy tried to grab her waist. She yelled and slapped his drink right into his face. Most guys would get worked up and defend their girl. I just find it a blast to watch her go off on creepy dudes and put them in their place. She's the best and I love her to freaking death. Cheers to 9 years, my love. Nothing. It's the highest compliment to me when guys hit on my wife at a bar. I'm a 6 and my wife is an honest 8. So it really speaks to my charm if you ask me. Bonus if her drinks are on their tab. Lady of Reddit here. My fiance is a DJ at a bar that I used to work at. So I would go and hang out with him and all my old friends that still work there. I ended up sitting by myself near his DJ set and guys would come up to my table constantly. When they would ask where my boyfriend was, I would point to my fiance and give them the bro nod. They usually got the point from there. There was this one time when I was like 7 months pregnant and sitting at the high top. This kid, couldn't have been more than 19, comes up and asks me why I'm all alone and looking so sad. First off, rude, and not a great pickup line. So I smile, stand up, and turn to the side to show him my belly and say, "I'm not alone, silly." He looks dumbfounded and walks away without another word. Good times. The "so sad" is such a bad pickup line, but I can totally see my cringe younger self saying that. If you get worried because your partner gets flirted with, then either you have trust issues or your partner's the wrong partner. Because with the right one, you just trust them. And the amount of people on social media with replies with something like, "Well, good luck with that, buddy boy. You're getting your girl stolen," is exactly the reason why you can't find a good partner. They aren't able to judge a good person, trust them, or create a healthy relationship. And sometimes stuff will happen, but why do I get the feeling if you were able to create a healthy relationship, it would happen way less? Honestly, first, I'd probably need to let her know she was being hit on. She is not good at recognizing when a dude is into her, by her own admission. So us being us, I would probably low-key send her this exact text. "You know that dude is trying to hit on you, right? Let's make him think we're serial killers." At this point, we would start totally playing into his advances, but occasionally saying things like, "We can have guests over, right? Everything's sharpened." Or, "I can fit 15 people in my van if they're folded right and not too stiff yet." Or something like, "How long do you think you can hold your breath?" You know, like, against your will. We don't get out much. My girlfriend is a little out of my league. Not to say that I don't clean up nice, but she is a little out of my league. Apparently this was noticed by a guy at a party. He came up to my girlfriend and myself, and since my girlfriend was in the middle of a conversation, he started talking to me. Soon, when my girlfriend was finishing her conversation, he says to me without much preface, "Hey, make me look good." Now, first of all, I have no idea exactly how he expected me to make him look good, but I asked him, "For this girl? This girl right here? My girlfriend? I mean, we could try, but I don't think she'll go for you." He turned pretty red, and without saying much else, he immediately turned around and left the group. I yelled out, "Where are you going? This isn't making you look good." My girlfriend loves when I tell that story. Is the flirting in person or via text, email, or social media? If it's in person, that can be pretty hot if you work it out right. If it's the other, then you gotta trust that they will do the right thing. Nothing other than how you respond is in your control. My wife and I don't wear rings, and a few weeks ago we were at the bar and a dude came right up to her and made his move. Gotta give the guy some props, really. She flirted back, cause that's okay for us, and he figured out soon enough that this wasn't his day. But it worked out for great fantasy talk that night, so thanks, buddy. This story reminded me of that episode of that 70s show when Fez gets used by a girl at the bar for a roleplay fantasy with her husband. First, I'd turn red with anger. Then I'd slowly stew and sweat until I had a plan formed. Next, I'd down a few shots of cheap whiskey, while my girl pestered me about what the freak was wrong with me, as I made no eye contact and said nothing, slowly gathering my rage into an irresistible force of righteous indignity. I've been here before. I said it to myself, and it never ended well. Before the night was out, one of us always regretted the choices we made that day, but so far, it hadn't been me. Some might say I'd been lucky. I'd say I was just brave. The kind of brave you get when you down a few shots of cheap whiskey. Real brave. So I step up to face my nemesis like a knight of old to defend the honor of my fair maiden by proudly and loudly stating, "Hey, you got a brother with me, bro?" Happened more than once cause my wife is a looker and she's got some assets. The moment I press them, they see my cauliflower ear and totally back off. Those dudes are scum deliberately. They try to make weak dudes look like pushovers. The one time I played punch the face, I became the bad guy and Chad became the poor victim. Couldn't believe people got upset at me. I'd pull my pants down and do the helicopter while screaming like a deranged penguin. That'll show 'em. There's always that one guy in the group that will do the helicopter to protect his girl. That's it for this video. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. And if you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot. It's linked in the description too. Either way, thanks a lot for watching and we'll see you guys next time.